Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. Today we are going to talk about the Women's Premier League, which has just kicked off, and it was a great introduction to what is this new tournament we've got going on. We're all excited. You can see it on Benji's face. He's loving life at the moment.
I just really enjoyed the fact that you started it just as James turned on his ring light and was like,
yeah, we'd love to see it.
It'll make a great intro.
Talking about the Women's Premier League, James, you're a massive fan so far after the first game. What are your initial thoughts? What's going on in your head?
I'm super impressed. It surpassed my expectations. I was thinking it would be quite good. I was thinking it would be up there with the Women's 100 and WPL, things like that, where it's just there's obviously been a lot of money invested, but this was above and beyond. There was a packed stadium. Like both sides were fielding good players. There was high quality batting and bowling from one side. And there was some decent fielding as well. Like it was the whole package. It was really exciting the whole time. The team I wanted to win won, and the players I wanted to do well did. And yeah, I was just super impressed. I think it's gonna be a really exciting tournament going forward, and I'm quite keen to follow it relatively closely if that's what the masses want. So, first things first. Let us know in the comments if you want us to follow this a bit more and talk about it on the channel, because so far I'm really impressed and I was quite excited by it.
Yeah, make sure you like this video because that shows that you've got that interest for it. And also, if you are living in India, please let us know, how does it compare currently to how the hype is for the IPL as well? Because if you're in India, you obviously get the hype, whereas in England we don't. So yes, it would be great to hear.
Yeah.
So Mumbai Indians, they batted first and put up a very decent score, thanks a lot to their captain, Harmanpreet Kaur.
But yeah, Kaur and Harmanpreet Kaur looked really good. Kaur and Kerr. It was a great partnership. They both of them looking at really great strike rates too. The fact that it was only Nat Sivabrunt that, well, aside from the opener, but Nat Sivabrunt who was striking at sort of under 150 because she sort of played a bit more of an anchor role, batting at number 3. It was just really good quality.
I'll say even then it was only because she kind of got tied up towards the sort of back end of her innings. She started off hitting it really well. Like Sivabrunt and Matthews had a brilliant partnership, and then when Sivabrunt went out, Kaur and Matthews had a really good partnership. And then when Matthews went out, Kaur and Kerr. And it was exactly what you want from a T20 innings from everybody. Everybody chipped in. They did exactly what they needed to. And nobody beat the strike rate of Izzy Wong, who had, I think what we can all agree, is the perfect innings. Because you only have to be in for one ball. So, you're not stressed out the whole time thinking you're going to go out. And she absolutely smokes the one ball that she faced for 6. 6, not out. Beautiful.
It was 600 strike rate. She's got the best strike rate in the history of any tournament. She can retire happy. And yeah. But yeah, it was a very, very good innings. And the thing that impressed me about Kaur and Kerr specifically is they were able to put on 90 runs in 7 overs whilst only hitting 1-6 during that time.
Yeah.
It shows a lot of skill, especially Kaur, especially not hitting a single 6. It's just her ability to hit the gaps, know where the fielders are. That awareness of the game is really impressive.
I mean, she did hit 14 fours, so I mean that's good enough. I'll let her off with that. But yeah, it was
picking the gaps. It was picking the gaps the whole time. Zach's right. It was her ability to know where the fielder was, to place it exactly, and to middle the ball as well. Like, I did not think that her bat had edges. It was all middle. It was unbelievable how hard she was hitting that ball.
And what happened is Mumbai Indians, they were like, right, we saw the pitch that was played for India, Australia at indoor. So what they did is after the first innings, they all got in a coach, went to indoor and played on that pitch for the second innings. Because they didn't actually, but it was a tale of two pitches, really. Well, that's what it seemed like. because Mumbai Indians absolutely hammered.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just the quality of the two teams a little bit because, like when we did our preview, we said that there was a few, key players for Gujarat Giants. One of them being Beth Mooney, who, 3 balls in to her, after facing 3 balls, turned badly when trying to get back into a crease and twisted a knee and had to retire hurt. So that was a real blow to the Gujarat Giants. And I think it was just from there. They just sort of capitulated. That opening spell as well from Nat Sivabrunt was deathly as well. Like conceding 5 runs in 2 overs and picking up 2 wickets as well. Like again, as an opening bowler, that's pretty much exactly what you want to hit as well.
Yeah.
Izzy Wong bowling absolute rockets. 3 overs for 7 runs. So like just some fantastic economy there. And as you say, it seemed to be a tale of 2 pitches, tale of 2 sides. I think we can see that, the Mumbai Indians team is stacked with very good high-class players. Like you think you've got the India captain, you've got Nat Sivabrunt, was cricketer of the year last year. You've got Izzy Wong, who's like the up-and-coming star. Kaur, who's been class for years for New Zealand. So, it's interesting. And you can see it was just... Yeah, they just got blown away, didn't they? Was there any glimmer of hope, James, for Gujarat Giants?
There was a little bit. Like I think there's stuff that they can take forward to the next game. So the fact that I don't know how you say her name, to be honest, but Hema Latha, I thought she batted quite well. She ended up not out on 29, and also Monica Patel played some really good shots. Like she actually looked really compact to say she was carded at 11. But I think Gujarat need to look at going for some better seamers up front, because that was the big difference. Mumbai opened with the 2 English players, Wong and Sivabrunt, and they were both swinging it a mile, and it was actually swinging. And Gujarat didn't really use that that resource, and they went to spin very early on. And I think they paid the price for it, because looking at the quality of seam bowling that Mumbai were able to produce in those opening overs, and then just keeping it as tight as they did. Like the spinners gave nothing away. The fielding was on point. There was 1 dropped catch from what I can remember, which was a pretty poor one. But other than that, everything was just exactly on point and everybody was doing their job. One thing I'm interested by, and this is a sort of symptom of women's cricket for a while now, is there are a lot of all-rounders. And that's because there haven't been that many players. So generally people are just like, if you're really good at cricket, you're going to play professional cricket. And generally the ones that are really good at everything. They don't really have to specialize because there isn't that much competition for places, or at least that's how it's been. I think it's getting to the point where people need to specialize a little bit more. But if you look at the amount of people that bowled, so 7 people bowled in the Mumbai bowling innings and 7 bowled for Gujarat. And I don't know whether it's a problem having like too many bowling resources in this case, because if you look at the Gujarat bowlers, it was Kanwar. She only went at 6 and over and she took a wicket, and she only bowled 2 overs. So where was she when, Annabelle Sutherland was bowling not that great, if I'm honest? I thought Georgia Wareham was all right, but she was drifting down leg a lot. So those players that weren't doing as well, and I get that they're senior overseas players, so you want to use them as much as you can. But if you've got players that are bowling well, you need to be bowling them. And I don't know whether it's a problem of just you've got too many toys and you want to play with them all.
I think sometimes it can be a case where you've got too many options, but other times having lots of bowlers can be advantageous. Let's say you're playing a game and you see the conditions in the first innings, you read the pitch and notice that the bowlers who are effective are the pace off bowlers or the quicker bowlers or the leg spinners, whatever. Then if you have lots of those bowling resources, then you can kind of pick those bowlers who are suited to those conditions. So let's say the pace bowlers are getting smoked all over the place. If you've got 6 bowling options, then you just don't use the quickest bowler. Just things like that. It can be advantageous. But I guess, yeah, if you've got too many choices, especially if someone's in for their bowling, then it's kind of like, oh, well, we have to bowl them. So yeah, I think it's got its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Benji, I want to throw a question over to you.
Go on.
Because when Mumbai had them on the absolute ropes, I think they were like 49 for 8, 50 for 8. Even then, but before then, like in the 20s, and they'd lost like 7 wickets. It was an absolute shambles from Gujarat. Mumbai were then bowling their less experienced bowlers. So Pooja Vastraka, I'm butchering all of these names, sorry. Kalita, and then also Hayley Matthews, who obviously is experienced, but she wasn't that great. Like, she's more of a part-time off spinner.
Yeah.
I was interested, and I'd like to get your opinion. Is it better when you're absolutely battering a team to let some of your less experienced players have a bit of a go, bit of experience, warm them into the tournament, and maybe conceding a few runs, net run rate not quite as good, or do you keep the players on that are really doing well? So like your Izzy Wong and your Nat Siva-Brunt, who between them had 3 overs left. Amelia Kerr had another 2. So do you bowl the more experienced players and just polish the innings off? And because first game of the tournament, you want that good net run rate. What's your opinion?
It's an interesting one. I think when you're for me, when you're that far ahead, especially as it's the first game, I think it's worth giving people match time. That would be my view on it. I do see the argument though for just blitzing them away and just ending the game there and then. I think there potentially was a plan to probably bring those 2 experienced bowlers back on for sort of the death overs if it got that far. But yeah, you can see how a game was going a lot of the time. You can see that they did leak. Maybe they leaked 10, 15 runs, but which would have been a scary prospect. I think for me though, the real, I would say, disheartening thing about Gujarat Giants is that 3 of their players today have just won a World Cup. Like Beth Mooney, Annabelle Sutherland, Beth Mooney, Georgia Wareham, and Ash Gardner were in the winning World Cup side. Ash Gardner was player of the series, and then sort of had a massive fall from grace, got out with a first ball duck, and got smashed over the shop. So it's just interesting how that goes. I think Gujarat were probably very disheartened when Beth Mooney was gone so early, because she is just such a key part of that bowling attack.
And hopefully she'll be right for the next game as well.
Yes, hopefully. Interesting, Gujarat going with a 4 Aussie overseas tactic as well.
Yeah, well, they got paid back for that. So that cardinal sin. I've got one more point on this match that I thought was really interesting, because the WPL is the first T20 tournament that I'm aware of that it is in the rules to use a review for no balls and wides.
Wow.
Ooh.
And when Gujarat were on, like, I think they were on 49, and they got their 50th run via a wide that was like, it was down the leg side, but it turned out it'd been gloved. Mumbai reviewed it, which I thought was jokes. It was so petty, but it showed really good spirits, first of all, within the team. Like, as soon as the umpire had signaled wide, the batter said, "Oh, I think I gloved it," and so they had to review to reverse that decision. And there was a lot of laughing, and it was all very spirit of the game, uplifting stuff.
Yeah,
but also it was funny because it was such like a petty thing, one run when you're already battering them by like 150 runs. But also, what do we think of that innovation? Having the ability to use one of your 2 reviews, or both of them if you wanted, on wides and no balls.
I'm assuming if you overturn it, you get that back.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I think you should be able to review any umpiring decision that you disagree with. It actually happened in a test match a long time ago, and by a long time I mean like 15 years ago, when Matt Pryor in a test match, he hit a ball into the leg side, and the fielder dived along the rope to push the ball back, and the umpire didn't signal anything. So Matt Pryor reviewed it, and it turned out that it was 4 runs. So he reviewed it to get a 4. And so I reckon that if you disagree with an umpire's decision, you're in your right place to review it, because at the end of the day, the review's there to make sure that things don't go against you and the umpiring decisions aren't poor. So it makes sense for me. So yeah, it does make sense. Right. Shall we move on? Because there have been 3 games that have happened recently, which we haven't done a podcast for. One is the India versus Australia match, which I think we basically concluded it in the last game. Australia ended up winning. We can gloss over that one. South Africa versus West Indies. That didn't last too long either. 3 days. West Indies got thrashed. South Africa bowled well. But England versus Bangladesh, that's got a bit more spice about it. Because Bangladesh, since 2014, have only lost 2 one-day series at home, and they are both against England, which is interesting. So England obviously know how to win in Bangladesh.
Have they won the series? We have won the series because it's only a 3-game series, isn't it?
Only
So England won the series.
Yeah.
Boys, Jason Roy, we give him a lot of hate on this show. Not hate, but
we don't give anybody hate. We're all love.
We don't give any hate, but we've called for him to be dropped many times. What do we do about Jason Roy? Because every now and again he sticks his head up and he scores a ton. Like South Africa, it was a great 100, and then we're talking about dropping him again. And then this, I mean, he looked good. It wasn't chanceless, but he looked good.
Well, I think
what do we do about Jason Roy?
I think the difference between this innings and how he's been playing for the last year is he looked really comfortable, in my opinion. Yes, he took risks, but that's how Jason Roy plays. Whereas he looked more like his old self, which in a year where we're playing a World Cup in a subcontinent, to be able to play that sort of innings right now, I find really encouraging. And also David Milan in the last match. So England are looking really strong at the moment, especially when you've got Johnny Bairstow to come back in to be that other opener potentially. And then Joss Buttler maybe at 4. It's looking like a really strong team.
Joe Root?
Yeah. Maybe Joe Root. But I'd have Harry Brook at 5.
Surely you've got Joe Root, Harry Brook, and Ben Stokes to play as well. So there's just so many options to come in. And
at the moment, I don't have Stokes in my
No,
ODI.
I don't either.
Because what happens is every ODI that England plays, and I'm sure every country will do this. Like Indian fans will be just updating their ideal 11 for the World Cup just as it goes on. At the moment, I'm opening with Milan, and then Roy keeps on jumping in and out of my side, like you say. I saw a funny tweet where it was like, Roy's just like that ex that you keep on thinking, oh, maybe he's changed because he does one good thing and then he lets you down 3 games after. So I really don't know whether Roy goes in, but yeah, I've still got Bairstow. I was thinking Bairstow, Milan open, Root at 3, and then Buttler 4 and Brook 5. I really like Jax because he is like the succession plan to Moyne.
Yeah.
And then
Jax not just a less good Livingston though?
I think he offers something different to Livingston because I think he's a better batter in terms of his technique. Livingston's more of a hitter.
Yeah,
Jax
slogger.
Jax is more. He can play. Well, he will play like more proper shots, but he can obviously get a very big strike rate. I think they are different players, and I think they can also take very different roles. Like I would happily have Jax anywhere in the top 5, whereas Livingston I would have at 4 highest, I think.
With Livingston though, like if he is fit by the time the World Cup comes around, again, is he in that squad? Is he in that first 11? Like, surely for the work that he's done over the last year, he has to be, right?
I reckon
Sensible.
he's straight in for the 2020 squad, but the World Cup squad, I wouldn't say he's a necessary player. Now, before we talk about Bangladesh, because I want to talk about Bangladesh, with England having won the series, do we now see this as an opportunity to give someone like a Rayan Ahmed a go, going into the last match and see what he's about in the one-day game?
I'd like that
Absolutely.
because in my head as well, I see Rian Ahmed as a succession plan to Adil Rashid because he's the best leg spinner I've seen for England since Adil Rashid. So yeah, it's so exciting to see him, and also the fact that he's playing in red ball as well from the Pakistan tour. I think it's really promising to see.
Yeah,
my only
the
issue at the
confidence
minute
pick, isn't
is my bowling choice because I want to fit Chris Wokes in my side, but the way
Obviously.
that Scurran's playing, I'm struggling, which is
Yeah.
a bit sad. Like the way that Wokes has been bowling and Curran's been playing, I feel like Curran's got to get that slot over him, which hurts me to my core to say because I don't think they can both play together because you've got the other two seamers with Archer and Wood.
I reckon playing Archer and Wood unless you play in a final or a semi-final, having those two in the same game is dangerous because if they both get a little niggle,
break,
then they might be out. However, you've got some good replacement in Saqib Mahmood, who even though he didn't get wickets, looked good in his return game. And also Ollie Stone, who, in my opinion, has been a very consistent bowler of late for England and looks really exciting. And it's a shame that he's not actually available to play in this game.
Yeah. And then Reece Topley as well. Like I think James is a big Reece Topley fan as well. Like just loves how he plays with that left arm angle. Yeah. It is good to see such a prolific amount of players. And this new look squad from moving on from 2015.
Yeah.
What do you think about Bangladesh then? I think again, are they a team that rely too heavily on their all-rounder in Shakib?
Well, Shakib's having a fallout at the moment with Tamim, the captain, which is causing all sorts of problems. There's been a bit of a blow up between those two, so we'll see if they can reconcile moving forward. But yeah, I think Shakib's a very good player. He always has been. But yeah, I think him, Tamim Iqbal, and Mushfiqur Rahim, a lot of the pressure's on them to perform and score all the runs and take all the wickets. However, saying that, I think Bangladesh have a few players in there who, in my opinion, should be getting an IPL contract. So I reckon that his name's just gone out of my head. Opening bowler Taskin Ahmed. In my opinion, he should be playing IPL cricket. He's an amazing opening bowler.
I mean, Litton Das, Shakib Al Hassan, and Mustafizur Rahman are all playing in the IPL. They've all got contracts already, but there are other players in there. I think, as you say, Taskin Ahmed, he looked really good, and actually, I was really impressed with Hassan Miraz as well. I thought that he looked like he was bowling pretty well, even though he probably didn't get the returns. I think he was probably hit a bit more than he deserved. I think, although he did bowl some rank long hops that were hit away with the disdain they deserved.
Yeah, I think a lot does rely on good form of certain players. So I think one of the big reasons why Bangladesh won a lot recently was because Litton Das was in a bit of a purple patch. It took some really good bowling from Curran to get him out first ball, but all it'll take is for him to get a start, and then Bangladesh can put on some really big runs that Shakib can then finish. I don't know whether he should bat higher, in my opinion, but yeah, it doesn't make a difference when you collapsing the way that they did. I think that's a good place to end. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the continued support. If your team loses, don't unsubscribe. Instead, subscribe for more on when they do win eventually. Thank you so much for the support. Leave a like. You can follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod. And other than that, goodbye.